Hey guys, welcome back to Development Tank. Pumped today, but firstly, I just want to thank everyone for getting involved in the Little Fish Network. The community is growing like crazy, and there's so much value in there. There's so many people posting, answering questions, dropping value, so really appreciate everyone doing that. And if you are a part of it, jump in, ask them questions. My team's in there, I'm in there, value all the time. Now, Gav's back. So pump with that. He's got two sites. One that we're looking at for a client. We did some due diligence and feasibility on it. Want to show you what that's all about. And also a site that sold recently, which should have been bought. Good site, stacks up, but we want to show you how. Let's get into it. Site Insiders with Gav. If you know, you know. Thanks for coming in, Gav.
Good to be back.
Talk to us, mate. We've got a couple of good sites, exciting sites to look through.
Yeah.
None that we're specifically managing, but a couple that you've put a fair bit of work into, so keen to learn those lessons.
Yeah, a couple of different sites to what we'd normally go over, I think. First one we'll talk about today actually came from someone on the Little Fish Network.
Beautiful.
So George is his name.
Shout out Georgie. He come down to the Melbourne Property Expo too, George.
He did. Yeah, he did. Came down. We had a really good chat. Just keen, fairly young, involved, I think, in construction in some form. And it's just really keen to get an understanding, I think, of the early stages of the process, and as we'll have a look at here today, just see how he's having a crack.
Yeah, and it sounds like he's doing the work, so keen to unpack that and figure out what people are doing out there, because I think great lessons for anyone else playing along, that info's all out there. You jump on the end of a phone, Google's your friend, Little Fish Network's your friend, jump in and ask some questions. So I think it's just about putting the work in, rolling the sleeves up and asking the questions.
That's right. Yeah, look, as we've discussed on here, we've got the Little Fish Network. We've also got the course, which is really, really comprehensive. You can do that. You can read all the books. But until you actually pick up the phone or put pen to paper and actually get things going, you're really just talking about it.
Yeah, 100%. So, cool, mate. So let's look at his development in sunny Sunshine, by looks.
So it's in Sunshine West,
Yep.
72 Lachlan Road. Now, my understanding is I think the property is in the family. So there's no money, I guess, as far as land purchase goes. It's an existing property. And I've got up a PDF here. It's just some of the information he's sent through, and I have asked him if it's okay to share, and there's nothing too personal in here. It's just, I guess what I want to show here today is this is somebody who is probably starting from zero, and they're actually having a crack. So if you've gone and read a few books and you've done the course and gone, geez, I think I know where to start, but I'll have a look tomorrow. You actually just start working at the front, working at the beginning, and work through the process. So we're not going to go through it in a lot of detail, but it just give you an indication of the sort of things that he's gone and had a look at. So he's just talked about the site here. He's just, it's stuff that's in your head, but if you actually put it on paper, it starts to tell a story, right? So he's gone through that process. He's worked out the town planning regulations, so the zoning for the site, called the council, got all the information in there, who he's called, understanding the setbacks. For people that haven't actually done this before, you've probably watched a segment on the Little Fish, the course, and I've heard about setbacks. Yeah, I understand, but what does it really mean? So until you pick up the phone and you give the guys at the council a call and you say, look, how does that impact what I'd like to do on this site? That's where you really start to learn. So he's actually gone and put all this onto paper. What do we got here? Permeability of the site, application requirements. So he's really just give himself a running sheet on what he knows about the site, as he's learning, he's documenting what he's learning, and then he's even got questions in here about, what do I need to know? Because every time you talk to someone, you answer a lot of questions, but quite often new questions come up.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, and what we're seeing here, Gav, which is, hats off to George, is he just keeps asking questions, plugging them in. Like you said, if he comes up with a new question, then he's got a new list of things to do the next day. But I think, like I said before, all the information's out there. And I think sort of in here, you can forget how much of this but then also the people you're surrounded by, like the different consultants, town planners, designers, land surveyors, all that sort of stuff. So the information is somewhat at our fingertips, where if you're just starting at ground zero, like you said, I think those people and professionals' time you don't sort of have at your fingertips. So super important you do as much legwork as you can yourself. And then when you actually get time with them, at least you can show to them, hey, I've done the work. This is what I've found. What do you think? Where are the holes? And then someone like that will respect the work you've put in, I think.
That's right. And I was here myself 20 years ago. I was reading the books.
Yeah.
And I just ended up, I sort of got an idea of the area that I wanted to work in. And then I just started calling designers. You literally, my old boss used to say, get the yellow pages out and, start calling. And that's literally what I did. And I'd just go and do face-to-faces with a couple of designers. And, one of our regulars, I actually met him long before we talked to him here.
Yeah.
So that's exactly how I did it. Call the council, ask the questions. Now, we can fly through a bit here because he's just sort of got some assumptions in around his bill rate, which we'll touch on when we have a look at the feasibility.
But he's even asking questions about build contracts and certain time it's going to take to get through each stages. George has gone deep here.
Yeah, it's good. And there's probably stuff in here that he may not have even been completely across, internal rate of returns and things like that. Maybe he was, but you put it down and you have the questions here on paper because it's great. He's only a young guy, so he's starting early. I wish I'd sort of been asking these questions when I was his age, to be honest.
100%.
He's got some information there about his borrowing, but then building management. So he's looking at options, maybe leasing it out afterwards. I believe he's got some numbers in there for that as well. Market study, site analysis. Yeah, it's great. And he's got some costs in here as well that he's obviously got from his consultants around everything from structural and civil engineering drawings, the work. So it's all in there. So I didn't tell him any of his numbers. He's actually done the work and he's worked the stuff out. Yeah,
100%. No, hats off to him. And yeah, the lesson is just pick up the phone and keep just filling out the sheet. It's all good data. It's all good information. It's only going to make you better. So Gav, should we have a look at his site?
Let's get into Land Checker. Right. So where are we? I'm actually quite familiar with the area. Spending about 15 years in the West there, so much as same as yourself. But so up here at Sunshine West, you're within the ring road, which was always a bit of a sort of a boundary.
Yep.
You wanted to be in there. It's a north-facing block. We got 688 square meters, standard with frontage at 15.22. So nearly 700. His assessment was he'd get 3 23 square townhouses.
Yep.
I did my assessment and I read back through my response just earlier and saying that, when you take into consideration your setbacks, your side setbacks and your requirements to have from your living area to boundary, it was probably going to be reduced down to maybe 20 squares.
Yeah.
So a little bit smaller.
Yep.
I think he had his rate in there at about 22,000 a square. So, which maybe in a bit light on, but again, you don't know.
This is how you figure it out. You got to start somewhere.
That's exactly right. And talking to people such as myself, and then I'll give him information back, and then he just goes and asks more questions, which is great. So not it looks like a dead end street there, so it's not horrible. It's a good area, Sunshine West. So some parts of it are probably better than others, but he's got plenty of greenery around there. So look, not a problem with that at all. Let's move into the feasibility. So 72 Lachlan Street.
Just a quick question, Gav, to put you on the spot. Could this be a dual occupancy play? Like, you've gone deep on this. I haven't seen as much of it, but when I see these 3 sites that end up getting a bit squished on sort of size-wise, and then you got the open space contribute. You got these costs that get bulky. Sometimes we like to revert back and go, is it just a dual lock play? Each block of land being circa sort of 340 square meters, 4-bed, maybe even single story maybe. But anyway, is that something that crossed your mind? I suppose.
Look, I've done quite a few of these, so I know now that if I'm selling townhouses for 750 grand, or even a dual lock, if I'm selling that for maybe 900, we're not gonna get close. But in his case scenario, it could have probably worked because they own the land, so it probably would have been. It
might just be for build rates and all that sort of stuff. It might just end up closer to the goals. But no, I hear what you're saying.
But looking at it there, definitely you got your second crossover there already.
It's already got 2 crossovers.
How good's that? Yeah. So you could do, 688 square meters, normal frontage. I don't think there's any sort of, we're in, where are we? Brimbank. I don't think there's any side setback laws that you need to worry too much
I
about.
think it's pretty cruisy up there.
You might be a bit concerned about those solar panels there.
Yeah.
They're probably on the first level. There's no trees to look at. One thing you may want to take into consideration is the fact that you got some high voltage power lines, not too far away.
Oh, nice bit of greenery there, Gav, for the kids to play.
Yeah. So, yeah, probably, I don't know, if we're just talking about land, then yeah for sure.
Yeah.
You're looking at it.
Yeah. Even a single story build, Gav. Not to say it would maybe get this one out, which we're about to go into, but might be a single story, dual lock play, little fish essential potentially. But anyway, we'll get into it and we'll unpack it.
Great. All right, let's have a look at the feasibility. We'll go into the investor. So we didn't have anything in the purchase price because he owned the land. So it's really just, I guess, if the property's in the family, he's probably said to whomever that family member is, look, let me have a look at it. Let's see what I can do.
And this potentially looking more of a cost analysis.
Yeah.
And like we like to do in here, Gav, obviously is, if there is a cost base to the land, even though you haven't bought it or, you've inherited it, whatever it looks like, doing this feasibility, in a true and fair nature, you do need to put a cost in against the land. But obviously this is going to take us through more of a cost analysis.
We'll
and
do
then
that.
maybe when we get there, we'll straighten that up, like you've said.
Yeah, we'll plonk it in. So he had his planning was actually pretty close. He did really well with it.
Yep.
He didn't have open space contribution though. So
Yeah.
that we discussed before on the potty a few times. 5% typically of the land value. I've
Yep.
got that at about. Well, he mentioned it was about 815 at the time.
Yep.
When I had a look at that, 815,000. So that's just basically 5% of that value. We had the build costs closer to 27 a square. Look, 3 front to back, you'd probably be closer to 29, I think, depending on the area. And if it's a better area, even more.
Yeah, unless he maybe knows the builder pretty well. But yes, I agree. Yeah.
So 22 is probably not going to cut it. So
No.
I think out there, if it was something that you wanted to push forward with, you'd probably try and find someone that would get it down around that number, maybe.
Yeah, but I think this is great. Like, George is in the network. He's doing the work. If he tackles this development being told off somebody that's 22 grand a square and... he's getting, and when we've seen these people and they get there and they get to the, I want to build, I'm ready to go, and 22 to 29, it's a big deal.
It will break it.
When we're talking about, circa 60 odd squares times 7 grand, it's no joke. So just kudos for George for doing the work because he needs to figure out which path he's going to take before he starts sort of diving into it head first.
All right, so we've got our resales in there. Well, there's your interest on your holding, which is just the build at this stage.
Yep.
And he was sort of thinking that it was around 750 was his middle of the range. So I've just plonked that in there for this example. So it probably comes out okay if the land doesn't cost him anything. If I just jet back over here and I'll quickly put that in there for 815. So I'll head back over here now. So now with the cost of the land, and that's not including your settlement costs, so assuming that that's just the land value at this particular point in time.
Yeah.
All of a sudden we're in the red.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, and that's sort of the thing, I guess you can, if you sort of ignore that value of the land, you get through and you can sort of kid yourself and sort of come out the other side. And but also acknowledging that there are some different motivations for people. So if it was to maybe retain the dwellings, maybe to have family members, to have mum and dad or mum or dad or brother or sisters in certain, there's different motivations that we see for people. But from a pure feasibility perspective, when you acknowledge the land, you could simply just sell the land and realise that value without going through a development.
Well, I guess there's 2 points here that we should probably note as well. Firstly, as you say, there's probably just, obviously in this case scenario, it's probably better off just selling it. And even if there's $100,000 profit or $300,000 profit, it's going to be better than the outcome at the end of the development.
Yeah.
But secondly, as well, some people sometimes think, I'll just go get plans on it because it can be developed.
Yeah.
We can see that we can get a couple of things on here. So let's go and spend 30, 40 grand, get some drawings done, and we'll sell it with plans, and we'll make that money back another 100.
Yeah.
The truth is, from a developer's perspective, if you do a feasibility on the plans and it doesn't stack up, those plans have no value whatsoever.
Well, 100%, and from a development perspective, it's not gonna jump off the page.
No.
Couldn't agree more. I think for me, Gav, just looking high level, if you're doing 2 single stories on there. For me, and just high level, and we haven't got Feaso prepared earlier either, Georgie, but your construction comes down dramatically. If you're saying $750 for each 20 square townhome to have a single square dwelling with a big land component, you're $850, you're $900. Put the land in, put the build in, probably sub $1 million. Your costs are sub 2, and you're getting closer to evening this thing out. But anyway, that's just high level numbers, and something we might circle back to with you, George. But anyway, just figuring out what highest and best use is. Yeah.
On a very high level, I mean, the cost of construction, as we know, has gone up quite a lot, right? So hopefully it's topped out.
Yeah.
We don't know. We hope so. But what that does now, it means that you've really got to sell dwellings at a certain level before you start to see any profit. So, just because you've got a 850 square metre block in Albion, you could put 3 or 4 on there comfortably.
Yeah.
It just doesn't mean it's going to work unless you're selling them at a certain level. So that's when you're looking for development sites, I guess you work your way back. You sort of think to yourself, well, I need to be selling for X.
Yeah.
So these are the areas that they're selling for, and then I know my costs, and then I can sort of work out how much I need to spend to get into those areas.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's never been more important to know your numbers and just to, challenge the areas you're in and do exactly what George is doing. Look at what you can build it for and get real-time data on that. Don't just listen to old mate over the fence. Jump in Little Fish Network, see what things are getting built for. Different builders charge different prices depending on what you're chasing, as we've spoken about. So just make sure you do your numbers and figure out the highest and best use of the site.
Yeah, and ultimately what we've gotten out of this, that maybe George had started this process 6 months ago, and I can assure you, when he started doing this 6 months ago and what he knows now, it's an incredible amount of information and knowledge that he's gained over that journey.
Yeah, 100%. Well done, George. Please, guys, get some value out of that. He's done the work and he's figuring it out, and he hasn't really spent $1. So kudos to him, because if he had have dived in and thought he knew and made too many assumptions, he'd be spending money and he wouldn't see that again. So well done, George.
Yeah, get on the phone and get pen to paper.
All right, thanks, Gav. And Georgie, my 2 bob, probably a couple of single story on the efficient side of things, couple of single story dwellings. But anyway, story for another day. Gav, this is one that is a bit more close to where we like to do things.
Yeah, look, this site came up off market probably 2 or 3 months ago now. We worked through the process. They were asking, the site's at 61 Draper Street, Ormond, so back in our sort of favourite sort of precinct, if you like.
Yep.
It came to us off market. They were asking, I think it was well over 2.2, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Which we thought was maybe a bit steep at the time. But yeah, let's just duck into Land Checker here and get an idea of where we're at. So, as people know, have been listening along at home, we sort of do focus a bit on the southeast corridor here. So that's McKinnon Secondary College, main campus just there. There's train line, McKinnon Station, Ormond Station here on North Road. So we're inside the McKinnon school zone. That's McKinnon Primary School just there. So, I don't know, 150 metres. You can get into the McKinnon Secondary College just there. So that's probably 400 metres away. We've spoken about another site, 26 Draper here, the corner, which we bought, how long ago now?
Yeah, Ripper.
Probably a month or 2 ago.
Yeah, for sure.
So we're getting 3 townhouses on that, which I'm sure we've covered off. So far enough away from North Road, I think, so there's no noise.
Yeah.
But then still close enough to the action. So yeah, schools we discussed. There's your Ormond Town Centre just there, and McKinnon Town Centre there. It's Duncan McKinnon Reserve just here. Great parks. We've discussed a couple of townhouses we've bought and building over here. Projects we're building just over here.
Yeah.
So yeah, we like the area. Zeroing in on the site itself, 696 square metres, standard 15.26 metre frontage. We'll just have a quick look here. And so there is a tree in the front yard here. Being Glen Ira, probably pretty friendly with it.
You'd be fairly confident.
Yeah, there is a special building overlay. So again, you just need to take that in consideration, that your floor levels might be a little bit higher. You might want to consider that in your build price. Sometimes they want a bit more clearance down the side of the block, so you may not get boundary to boundary on both sides. Properties here to the south, which you'd want to have a look at just in relation to their private open space and shadowing. Driveways on the north side of that site. So private open space at the back of the block here and probably over here. So I don't think we'd be too many concerns about.
It'd be pretty safe.
Shadowing there.
Yep.
No solar panels to be too concerned about, and really nothing around the back or the north of the property. So it looks like a bit of a slam dunk in relation to planning. That's a Powerball there, I think. But you've got your driveway on the north there already. Plenty of room beside that tree there for a driveway on the south. I know that there are a couple of people looking at it. There are other developers looking at it, and I'm not too sure who bought it in the end. But we had it pitched to us at 2.2 plus, and I just thought, look, I need to be selling. We're probably going to do a couple of bigger townhouses on here, 30 plus. You got the land, providing the SBO doesn't restrict you too much. You're going to need sales around 2.4 and 2.5, and it's just look
heavy.
Yes, we're keen on the area, we like it, but that's a lot of money for a townhouse. You're selling them in Brighton East for that. Yeah,
100%. I think it got down to its right price, a better price anyway.
Yeah.
So what did you think with the numbers, Gav? Where did the numbers end up on this one? Because like you say, pretty straightforward from a no encumbrances out the front. Shadowing's good, like you say, circa 700 square metres with a 15 metre plus frontage is sort of tick, especially in Glen Ira.
Yep, and west, we all like north-facing backyards, but west is still very, very good.
Yeah.
So if we just quickly duck over now to the feasibility. So it ended up selling for 1.82.
There you go.
So
you did think it was high, Gav, and it was.
It was. Look, and 1.8 is actually probably not a bad price, I think, in the end. It is a soft market. We were discussing earlier today a post that came up on one of the portal forums or something about Melbourne being underperforming.
That it's going to spring back when the time comes. But yep.
So probably good buying for whoever did buy this site. So settlement costs as per normal. Now with this one here, we touched on it a little bit before, and I know Jonesy's spoken about it on an earlier episode. We're looking at we're calling a Little Fish Essential product. So it's with a builder who does a lot of builds around Melbourne, but we're coming up with their own sort of Little Fish design for floor plans and finishes. So I guess it's a product that's going to sit between what would be a high volume builder and a custom build.
Yeah, for sure. I think as we mentioned probably a couple of weeks ago, the episode got dropped. But working with a large scale builder to pull out all the efficiencies and sort of luxuries around price from these large scale builders, but then obviously create a Little Fish product that that we're really happy to take to market with and excited about from a resale point of view and things like that. So for everyone playing along at home, that's the pricing that we're using in this Feaso. So super excited with that, Gav, because it does change things from the feasibility point of view somewhat, which excites you, I know that, and excites me also. So, and just it works in different locations, depending on resales, depending on what the market expects, custom or a Little Fish Essential range. So, mate, take us through it. But it's looking pretty good.
Yeah, that's right. So I want to service as many clients as I can, and not all clients that come to us have the budget to do, Bayside 30 square townhouses. Custom
sort of scenarios, yeah.
But, everyone, no matter where the customer is at the beginning of at the lower end of the range or the upper end range, they all want to do it for the same reason. They want to get involved, they enjoy it, and they want to make some money.
Yeah.
So this just provides us as a business to service people who probably don't have as high a budget and to also provide them with a result where the ROI is going to still really stand up.
Yeah, 100%.
And a great product. Excellent product.
Excellent product, and I think 100% allows people to get in at a something that suits their budget, but also allows investors to play sort of slightly outer where you don't or you shouldn't spend as much on your build to get that ROI. So, mate, very exciting.
Okay, so we'll run through the numbers quickly, but just keep in mind while we're doing this, it's actually a work in progress.
Yeah.
So we literally had a meeting this morning. So we're working through the designs and the pricing but we do have some pretty good ballpark numbers that we're working with, and we're already sort of working through those. So, so we've adjusted our planning because it's been involved a bit more within the build, because the product is, I guess, it's a fairly standard. It's going to be a standard design.
100%.
So,
the designs are somewhat set, so there's less back and forth in that process. For sure.
That's right. So there's that. Project managed fee is probably just a tad off where we would normally be.
For sure. Yeah.
A little less work involved for us. Our build rate is there. It's about, this is for 231 square townhouses, about 31 squares.
Yep.
Sort of we're aiming around, I think, 1.25. And what we sort of understand to the best of our knowledge at the moment, based on what our conversations we're having, probably adding about $100,000 for that sort of up spec that we want, and just also for the interior design and a few changes we've made just to make a bit more space and make the room make the floor plan suit, I guess, a design that we're happy with.
Yeah, correct. I think that 100 is a genuine investment to level these up and definitely protect and enhance those resales that you would usually see, from a circa 125 build. That allows us the ability to take these to a place that the suburbs like this probably are deserving of.
Absolutely. Yeah, look, the floor plans we saw today were great. The facade looked really hot.
Yeah, I think they'll be good. Yeah, for sure.
Terrific. So with that in mind, and now the holding costs in this particular example are basically just mum and dad investor, if you like. So residential lending, LVRs around 80-20. So it's going to be a little bit more on your holding costs there, but that's probably what happens with most of our clients. Not everyone can afford to buy the land outright. So and that's probably, again, more suited to this type of product as well, right? So we've got the resales here at 2.2 mil. So Ormond, McKinnon School Zone, not too far from the train. I've got a couple of comps here, and the comps are around 2.3 to 2.35. So I think that we've been fairly conservative at this point in time with these numbers here. I think you could easily add 50 on top of that. What that does is it provides you with an outcome around 600,000, 16.5% ROI. So
which is healthy, and I think more importantly, the resales aren't sort of chasing sort of a record either. But like you said, those pillars are really there. School zone, good block, good location, train, and big 30 square home. So ripper.
So I do have quite a few comps in the Ormond area, but here's a couple, I guess, that stood out that aren't too far away, probably 100 or so metres away. Nice product, nice and clean. There's a fair bit of stonework and cabinetry in this one here. Keep in mind, I think this and the one next door sold for 2.35. So that's a fair jump. I am confident that we will do something as nice, if not better than this.
Yeah, for sure.
To be honest with you. Fireplace outside's quite nice. I would have to say this would be, we'll have a look at the plan in a minute, but nice cabinetry and bits and pieces. Nothing over the top though. Nice bathrooms, pretty spacious. I do like the colour of the taps. They come in and out of fashion pretty quickly. Some bit of cabinetry in there. Again, pretty minimal. Looking at the plan there, that's not too far separated from what we're looking at actually, but I would say it's around 31 squares. Probably
I think it's comparable with size-wise, and you know what? This one's fine. It's got the master downstairs. In all honesty, I'm pretty excited about the second living design option that we've got downstairs, which creates such a spacious and light-filled ground floor, which I think is super important to create a nice family home feel. And it's got the 4-bed upstairs. But anyway, that's just my cup of tea fish, and I know you'll be into this fish on the Feasos and that sort of stuff, mate. But yeah, for me, Gav, I'm excited about that floor plan.
Yeah, and that's basically it. You could easily put another 50 in that. I think you'd be pretty comfortable. And we got to the point where we were pretty hot on it. Yeah. We just didn't have a buyer in that range at that time. Probably do now. Yeah, I've probably got a couple of people who'd be interested in buying it, but at that particular time, it just wasn't right timing for us. So we had to pass on it. But I think if we had a buyer there, we would have really dug in on it, and I think would have been comfortable adding another 50 or so to those resales. Yeah, for sure, 100%. And I think just with that, build rate and that sort of collaboration that we're putting together, it just allows us to get involved in a site like this. Probably dodging 300
400,000, in soft costs and build, which just take the pressure off those resales. So, beautiful, great work from you. Couple of good sites there. One that hopefully someone out there we know bought this one, because it looks like it could be pretty successful. But thanks for that, Gav, and we'll see you in a week or so, mate, with some more value inside Insiders.
Great, see you soon.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Side Insiders, if you know, you know. And if anyone wants value like this, make sure you jump in the Little Fish Network. Plenty of stuff going on in there. Plenty of value to be had in there. Happy developing.